On the vast grasslands of Africa's Serengeti Reserve, a brilliant sunrise illuminates a landscape teeming with wildlife. A 2-month-old lion cub is just strong enough to be taken by its mother to learn to hunt with the pride. Every morning, the mother lion patiently teaches her cub how to stalk prey, emphasizing each step with lightness and steady breathing. The clumsy little lion cub sometimes broke dry branches, causing the herd of antelopes to panic and scatter. Even though it often makes mistakes, it still enjoys it, its round eyes always lighting up every time it leaves the cave to follow its mother to the pasture. In the first days of life, it still breastfed and ate the soft meat that its mother gave it. The pride of lions lived together in unity, moving together under the scorching yet wild sun. But the lion cub's childhood joy was short-lived when a strange mark began to appear on its shoulder. At first, there was only a small swelling on the lion cub's left shoulder, the size of a lemon, so no one paid much attention. After just a few weeks, the tumor grew as big as a grapefruit, causing the lion cub pain every time it moved its legs. However, it still tried to drag itself step by step after its mother and the herd under the harsh sunlight of the harsh dry season. The pain caused it to eat less and less, its body became emaciated and its fur began to fall out in patches. The mother lion repeatedly licked the wound and lay next to her cub, trying to warm it and encourage it to stand up. But when the herd decided to move far away to find water and food, it no longer had the strength to keep up. The herd's urgent roar echoed across the parched grassland and gradually faded away behind the thorn bushes. The mother lion was helpless and in pain, but her survival instinct forced her to leave her weak cub behind. The lion cub staggered along, his eyes sunken with hunger, his joints aching with every step he took. Occasionally it stopped at a shallow puddle to take a few sips and then continued on its trembling legs. The hot, dry winds blew through, causing the sand to stick thickly to its ragged fur. Its weak cry echoed in the silent space and then faded into the vast sky. Many days passed wandering without finding food, it was only skin and bones and its breathing became weak. On cold nights in the prairie, it curled up and shivered, seeking some warmth under the dry bushes. In the scorching heat of the day, he exhaustedly trudged to an abandoned warehouse located next to a barren field. Inside the warehouse was dark, with no water or food, only dust and the cold smell of rotting wood. It lay collapsed in the corner of the house, eyes half closed, occasionally trembling violently when the pain from the tumor flared up. The sound of birds flying down on the old tin roof startled him, making him open his eyes and look around, then fall asleep again, exhausted. Its belly was sunken, its ribs prominent, its sparse fur matted with the dirt of days of wandering. The red sunset light filtered through the broken cracks in the warehouse door, illuminating its small, skinny figure. The old bats hanging from the rafters made a soft chirping sound, making him shiver with fear. Outside, the night wind whistled through the cracks in the wooden door, carrying the cold air that seeped deep into its exhausted body. Late in the afternoon, Moses Kamau, a gentle black native man, entered the old barn to collect dry firewood. He was startled to see a small figure curled up in the corner of the house, but he did not dare to cry out. He stopped and looked around carefully, fearing that the lioness might be lurking nearby. Seeing that everything was quiet, Moses slowly approached, his eyes gradually revealing sympathy for the skinny creature. Seeing the lion cub gasping for breath, his heart sank, his heart ached at the sight of the wild animal in pain. He poured some water into the can lid and gently brought it to its snout. The lion cub trembled as it opened its eyes, groaned softly, and then licked up every drop of cool water as if it were salvation. Moses gently touched its back, his deep voice reassuring it as it gradually calmed down. When Moses saw the big tumor on the lion's shoulder, he couldn't help but feel sorry and decided to help it at all costs. He quietly took off his old coat and put it under his skinny body to make it feel warmer. Moses' eyes were gentle, as if to give a glimmer of hope to the small creature that was on the verge of death. Moses found an old cardboard box, lined it with a shirt, and gently placed the lion cub inside. He brought it back to his simple wooden house on the edge of the village, placing it in a warm and quiet corner of the house. He prepared some soft food and a bowl of water, but the lion cub only ate a few small bites and then lay there breathing softly. Throughout the night, Moses woke up repeatedly to check on it, gently touching its head as if to reassure and comfort it. Early the next morning, he carried the cardboard box containing the lion cub to the local bus station. He caught the first bus to the Serengeti Ranger Station, dozens of kilometers away. When he arrived, he gently put the box down and called for help from a park ranger. Park Ranger David Okoro took over, listening to Moses' story with gratitude in his eyes. David immediately called the veterinary team to be ready to treat this poor animal. Moses breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had just put down the burden he had carried all night without sleep. The surrounding villagers also looked on curiously. Some shook their heads slightly in admiration at the pitiful situation. The lion cub was taken to the sanctuary's field clinic for an ultrasound to check for a tumor on its shoulder. After 2 hours of intense examination, the head veterinarian, Dr. Samuel Ndlovu, announced that the tumor was benign but required immediate surgery. Moses and David stood outside the room, waiting silently with eyes filled with hope and anxiety. The surgery lasted more than 3 hours, with doctors working with concentration in a tense atmosphere. Finally, Dr. Samuel came out, smiling and announcing the successful removal of the large tumor. The lion cub was placed in a clean iron cage, lying on an floor with a white bandage on its back. Moses breathed a sigh of relief, smiling gently at the sight of the small creature sleeping peacefully. David placed his hand on Moses' shoulder, and the two stood together silently watching the fragile life being revived. Outside, the sunset covered the grassland, dyeing the field care room gold. Dr. Samuel returned to the monitoring room, recording the lion's stable vital status after surgery. A few other rangers passed by, smiling slightly at the glimmer of hope in the little creature. The next morning, the lion cub woke up, stood up gently and began to lick the soft food that the staff brought. The entire ranger station was delighted to see the light of life return to its eyes. 3 days later, the wound had dried, it began to walk and seemed to want to play. A week later, it was moved to a semi-wild enclosure, where it began to learn to stalk and run again. Its golden fur grew thicker, and each step became quicker and stronger. Moses often visited, standing still watching it practice in the sun with pride in his eyes. After a month, it had regained the strong physique and alert gaze of a wild lion. The rangers decided to release it back into the Serengeti's natural wilderness. The cart carrying the cage stopped in the middle of the vast grassland where it once belonged. When the cage door opened, it slowly stepped out, turned to look at its benefactors, and then rushed towards the far side of the field. Migratory birds flew across the clear blue sky, seemingly welcoming the return of the young predator. David turned to Moses, smiled and nodded, as if sharing the joy of victory after a long journey to save a life. Moses and David stood side by side, smiling happily as they watched the lion cub's silhouette disappear into the golden pasture. In the distance, a herd of antelopes danced against the blue sky, as if welcoming the young member back to nature. They understood that the little creature had regained its chance to live and return to where it truly belonged. The prairie wind blew through, carrying the scent of earth and fresh grass, soothing the hardships of the past months. The next dawn broke over the Serengeti, ushering in a new beginning for both wildlife and rescuers.